Wait, okay. I will sing you to death.
You will sing us to death. Right,
I will lullaby your ass. Right. So, as we start the day, we start about 11 a.m. or so. As we pan down from this clear blue sky, birds crossing the way, you can see movement in the distance, the light wind moving the canopies of the distant trees and those within town. As we lower and see the quaint, very simple and rustic town of Greenest. The most noticeable feature, or one of the most noticeable features, is a keep, a stone and brick structure standing atop a short hill, maybe 70 feet of elevation. Sturdy walls, a tower that overlooks the courtyard. We can see guards and a few people moving within. As we see the expanse, the panoramic, you see more and more people moving through the very simple dirt, maybe some cobblestone streets. While most people seem to be going about their daily lives, we see youngsters, kids of 10, maybe 17 years old, running up the streets. We see as well a few carts and people on horseback moving in the same direction. As we see another noticeable feature is a spot, a two-story building that is currently covered with, I can't say balloons, sadly, but streamers and floating bits of cloth and textures. And we see around here there are about, let's say, 30, 40 people on the outside, all kind of clamoring along the stands that have been set up. And we see the sign written in golden letters. The halflings lock in. And right under the where we are. Yes. Underneath the inn, there is kind of the sign of a time card made in silver. And looking through the windows and the open double doors of this inn is just packed full of people, about 20 people or so on the tables. And very easy to notice, most of the people here are of smaller stature. Halflings, gnomes, few dwarves, but the humans and half elves that are moving around are very noticeable.
Noticeable, sorry?
Me?
The taller individuals, the humans and half elves. There is like a one half orc kind of surrounded by 4 or 5 smaller stature men and women that are kind of looking up at him as he's very nervously holding onto his tankard. Along the streets, we also see someone that stands out from the nearby crowd with gray skin, bits of armor, and that appears to be just curiously moving about, would you say?
Curiously moving about? What? Sorry, I'm just...
distracted.
Playing and eating.
Nah, playing about with my Twitch, because trying to figure out...
No problem.
Wait, are you gonna stream us? We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
That's how Discord. That's how DnD goes.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm just mentioning that Mia's character is kind of moving about, going along the morning purchases, perhaps, or looking for someone. There is definitely a good opportunity for advertisement for places of work.
Places of work.
Oh, there is.
There's places for work.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
How else are you gonna earn money?
Yeah. I mean, all of these people that are coming from out of town might need a smithy.
That's true.
But
Although I haven't
we'll
got a
start. Yeah, we'll start with Mia. How would you like to describe Isa for us amongst the shorter people?
Is she here yet? I thought she was at our house.
No, I think it's going to be a more rolling start if Isa is moving perhaps towards the Halfling Inn. Yeah.
I see her.
Go
Go for it, Mia.
Go for it. Take the stage.
Wait, but me?
No.
No, not you. Oh my god.
I am so confused. I'm sorry. I'm concentrating on my Twitch thing and it's annoying me.
Well, you're not tall with silver skin, so safe to say it's
True.
not you.
Well, I'm kind of grey skin, grey tan.
Right. So yeah, Mia, what does Isa look like? What feeling do people get upon looking at her?
Oh, fuck me.
Psst.
Mia?
Did she go somewhere?
I don't know. She might have disconnected.
Yeah.
Oh, she might.
No, she's here. I can't hear her.
No, we can't hear you.
Okay. Oh well.
Oh.
I think it's unplugged.
I hear something. Does anybody else hear that?
Yeah, I think it's.
Like a repetitive sound?
All I hear is keys.
No.
Hang on, just...
Keys?
Yeah.
Sounds like birds. They're like really annoying birds.
Keys?
Yeah. Yeah, keys. Typing.
No, it's. I think
no, nobody's typing. It's too repetitive for that.
No,
Sounds like a washing machine.
Washing machine or reverberation. Yeah.
She was speaking earlier, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was working.
That's weird.
Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Hey, there. Okay.
You might need
there we go.
your mic volume.
Yeah, I probably should.
There you go.
I think might just have bugged out Discord.
Yeah, might have been, because it was fine when I joined.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay, so Issa is a Goliath, and next to these halflings, she's very tall, of course, as Goliaths are.
Hello,
she's pretty slim, and she has long black hair, which is styled with an undercut. So just the top part of her hair is grown out. And that part is styled with braids and dreads. As she's going about now, she has her hair loose on the left side of her face, so you can only see half of her undercut. Like every Goliath, she has very grey skin, but what is unusual is that her skin is without any tribal markings. There are some burn scars here and there, but except that, it's just grey skin. Her clothing is loose but fitting. You can see that they are meant to be worn in warm weather or when you are doing hard labor. It's very easy to move in. It's like just a pair of yoga pants, kind of. Loose pair of pants. Just some band-aids around her chest. And she wears these leather gloves. They are pretty big and thick. And right now she's just going about looking for supplies and food.
What are the
Because
supplies
a
and
girl's
food
gotta
for?
eat. A girl's gotta eat.
Are you traveling anywhere?
I will discover later.
No, she lives here.
Oh, she
Just
lives here.
generally shopping.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, I missed that part.
This,
then.
I don't know where the shops are, so
this-
I'm just moving about.
This is where the main shops are settled in this kind of circle. There should be as well some kind of stands amidst this little circle. Just general store, clothing store, scribe, and just different little things. Isa does know that the metals are directly delivered to her shop, as always.
Yes.
And sometimes there are some scraps at the stables, which will be the large building. The large building that I forgot what it was. I must remember. Yeah, the stables will be that building over there, which they sometimes have remains of broken carts or horseshoes that got too worn out.
Okay.
Well, Isa does come through the square. Some of the travelers that haven't seen her and are on their way to the event do kind of look at her for a little longer, but the townspeople are, as always, glad to see her coming out, hanging about. Bit of conversation, as always, between the shop owner and a few of the elderly gnomes and halflings that live about. They are not even there to purchase, they're just there. It's their hangout spot that is not a bar.
Do I see that there's a gathering around the halfling slack?
Oh yeah, it's definitely very easy to see just from a distance. There's just this crowd of people of all different kinds. While the interior of the inn is filled with townspeople, the outside is definitely filled with more outsiders.
Well, that gets me curious, so I'm gonna start walking towards the hut. The halfling slack. To see what's this about.
What's that?
As you come out from the outside, what's Isa's passive perception?
Her passive perception.
13 from what I can see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Hey,
What? What?
No, I looked at mine. I've remembered mine.
Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Yes.
You can always click on the skill.
Yes. 1 second. Perception.
A 19, very nice. Yes, they can see it. Right.
Okay.
As Isa is kind of curiously looking about a bit, pushing against the people kind of holding on to drinks or just pointing at the different decorations. And she does see that a stage and a series of seats have been formed outside of the inn to provide more room for the people and the performers. Well, most people are kind of leaning against the nearby buildings or posts, sitting on the ground or one of the free wooden seats. There are a few people that are curiously looking at one individual in particular. Isa sees, for the first time in her life, a chunky elf.
Mia, you have a
Oh.
message on my stream. Yes, that's our Goliath wife. Go Mia. From Frisk, the Greek goddess.
Oh.
What's happening?
Nice. I am someone's wife now. That's great.
Oh, Apparently. Yes,
Wait,
that's our
what?
Goliath. If you have a look on
Yeah,
my
it's-
live stream, you might be able to write back or something. I don't know.
Well,
Search for Splintered as in.
I sent a picture to some of my friends.
Oh,
Oh, very nice.
So
you
that's
got
probably
wiped
them.
up.
Hello.
They've connected to my live stream, so.
Aw,
Hello.
hi, Mia's friends.
But, someone
Nice.
called Frisk, I think.
Yeah.
Sup?
All right.
Any of you have made any very gay characters, she's gonna love them.
All right. We'll come
You
to that
called?
moment when the party meets. All right. Do send me the link through Discord so I can share it with a few friends as well.
Oh yeah.
Isa sees for the first time in her life a chunky, very kind of fat face, pot-bellied elf that is lounging back in this very nicely made wooden and cushion chair, almost like you remember those
Thank you,
representations of Roman people?
Yes.
Thank you very much for following me, Puff. Very grateful. Yeah, I've
Yep.
linked
No
my
problem.
thing on there. In Discord.
No problem, homie.
There we go. So, you see an elf lounging in one of those chairs. Oh god! And city or standing right beside it, it's a gnome, a shock white hair gnome that is holding a ramekin of olives up to it, up to the elf's face.
Oh, ramekin.
Just the whole branch of olives up to his face. No, not
Oh.
olives.
It's like, here, have a branch.
Grapes?
Grapes. There we go. Thank you.
There we go.
Oh,
I was
bunch of
like,
grapes.
nobody eats olives like
Grapes.
that.
No, I was mistaken it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, grapes. Yes,
wow.
up to its face.
I like grapes.
Well, if there's a performance, then I would love to see that. Even though I probably should get back home.
I'm still in the inn. I'm just like,
Yeah, I will get to
I
that in a
always like
moment.
to stay here and see what happens.
why not come in?
Is looking about.
I am
yeah,
inside.
go ahead.
Oh. Oh, right, okay.
All right.
I just
Okay.
forgot
Yeah,
to move
yeah.
myself.
Yeah, Sisa comes in and looks about. We'll say, I'm just going to roll a
5 viewers. Hello, 5
trip.
viewers. Chat to each other. Probably all are, but yeah.
Poof. What's Vanessa doing at the moment? So we, a sitcom style shift from Isa's perspective, kind of flying over the shorter people in the inn, and we land onto one of the taller individuals.
Yeah. Vanessa is a half elf. She's very, not chipper, but very sarcastic looking, and, you know, half smile, sort of trying to get someone to buy her a drink.
Nice.
Inside, if she's inside the bar, I'm not really sure.
Where are you? Where's your
that's
token?
good. My token's outside, but
Oh, you're right here.
yeah, I'm right here. So let me
Okay.
just
Didn't Joe say there's tables outside? Or is that stage for the performers?
There are seats and a stage outside, but they most appear to be made for the show that will be running a little later. But you can take one of those seats.
I'll move over. It's just more space to see everybody. Plus, I'd probably be sitting in the corner anyway.
True. But yeah, she's probably just chatting, smiling. She's got like a lute just strung on her back. She's just like, "What's up?" You know.
So she can perform as well. So
Mhm.
you'll be going up to the bar person asking if you need another performer.
Mhm.
Well, no, she's gonna compete.
I'm gonna come.
All right.
Hell yeah!
There is a music playing within the inn, kind of discordant. There appear to be currently like 5 or 6 people trying out their instruments in different sides of the place. So the music is kind of getting a little
Nice. She's like, "Ah, yes, my people, dumbass musicians."
Yeah, that's how it goes. All right. And yeah, if you like someone to kind of get you rowing a drink, you can either make make a charisma check.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's not gonna do it, is it?
For a straight
Why,
charisma,
This is the one thing I'm good at.
Wow.
Oh god.
Apparently not.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Alright, so what happens when she tries?
Give me a moment. Roll 20 decided I cannot see. Oh, 7. All right. I'll say that you approach one of the tables where dwarf is kind of sitting with 5 or 6 tankards. Antith appears to be keeping tally for himself. Ron kind of approaches and begins to kind of the smile, trying to play into the drink that he may be a little tipsy already. But the dwarf, short black hair, not bald, but the hair is definitely receding towards the back. It seems to be growing past the middle of the back, wearing pieces of leather, and appears to just be probably a constructor of some kind. Kind of looks at up a drawing. No. I'm using my pay here. I'm not going to spend it on travelers. Go ask one of the short ones over there. And he points in a general direction, not really pointing at anyone in specific.
Another's piss off, basically.
Nice. Sounds like something he would say.
Fair enough. Right.
But if Rowan wants to purchase a drink on her own, they are silver each, and they are pretty nice.
Wait, Vanessa. We're still on Vanessa, right? It's not my turn yet.
Vanessa, sorry.
No, you're good.
I've been saying Rowan a lot.
Yeah, I would like to buy a drink.
Vanessa kind of twirls away from the dwarf, who just kind of grows, looking over his shoulder, just sending another hefty swing into his mouth. Behind the counter is a human, pretty distinguishable amongst the other people because he is one of the only 3 people behind the counter. And the counter kind of...
Aldor, isn't it?
Yes, Aldo.
Yeah.
The counter is shorter than you will expect. So it's kind of hitting him around the hips instead of the mid-waist.
Well, it's
Mm.
hard, so-
Cute.
Yeah.
You watch it?
You're not Quite, yeah. Not quite sure about the age of this man. He's blonde hair, but his face, you can't quite place his age. Seems to be tired or stressed, so that kind of gives him a few more years. Relatively handsome, either way. And as he sees Rowan approach, he throws
Vanessa,
Vanessa, sorry, Vanessa,
you're good.
cloth over his shoulder and leans into the counter. You will think he was asleep due to the difference, but he appears to be very practiced. We're gonna serve you.
Well, what do you have to drink?
Well, today we have the good old halfling's kick. That is only 2 silver for today, since he kind of points to the whole congregation. If you want something a little cheaper, for 7 copper, we have the greenest greens. And that's a cider.
I'll take whatever the first one was.
A halfling's kick coming right up. Turns and grabs one very nice tankard. It appears to be of dark wood, and pours from one of the barrels kind of set up against the wall behind. He's pouring, he looks back at Vanessa. So, what brings you to my little locale?
Just traveling, seeing the sights.
Lot to see around here, actually. Have you been to the temple or the keep yet? They are lovely to look at. Perfect for a date. And he finishes pouring the drink and slides it over the counter to Vanessa.
Thank you, sir.
If you need any more sightseeing tips, come see me after the show. I have a lot of experience with the areas around here. And you hear from the side, you see this a short halfling woman just kind of appears to be in the midst of pulling a few bottles from under the counter. She just chuckles.
I'll keep that in mind.
You have your drink, pay up, or are you going to slide away with that?
I probably just turn towards the bar and try not to, resist the urge to sit on it. Because it's so short. And just look around, I guess.
Vanessa looks around, her keen eye inspecting the area. The shine of a bald head kind of catches her attention as we shift over to Das, or in this case, Flack.
By the way, Isa is probably sitting in a chair too small for her, so she has her legs all the way up, tucked into her body. Yes, that's.
So I thought it was Rowan next. Hello? Hello? Oh no. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I just disconnected for a second there for some weird reason.
Oh, weird reason.
Well,
annoying. Whose is it? Rowan?
no.
No, it's not my turn. It's your turn.
Yours, I think.
Really?
Your turn. Yes.
Why does everybody want it to be my turn? I mean, I'm flattered, but
I mean, it says my poof Rowan Demi.
No, I'm just doing a touch around her.
Oh, doing it random. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, You see at the bar, right up, where's the bar? Is it actually right? Yeah, I'll say at the bar.
It doesn't matter.
At the
We
bar.
once the location becomes relevant.
Yeah, you see at the bar, a tall-looking dwarf, tall for his race, 4'6", I believe it is. You see him drinking a big mug of ale, but it doesn't look like a kind of ale is served in the bar. It's like it's homemade. You also notice that, hang on, description. He has no hair on top of the head. A big long beard, ginger. A kilt, which is a red turban. I can't remember what the hell you say it. Checked. There we go. A skull on his side, on his belt. Wrappings and little bit of leather for footwear. You can also tell that he has markings on his body, all over his body. However, you can actually notice that these are not tattoos. These are actually on him when he was born. There'll be a reason for that later. He is 181 years old, a bit scrupulous, a bit angry, not very friendly, not very trusting. And that's flag for you. A hill dwarf, by the way.
Currently drinking at one of the counter shop tables amongst the other small folk. Definitely stands out. He's making a sturdier than those around, and his clothes are distinctive around the townspeople. Simple merchants with finely crafted clothing. Say he's drinking. One of the other dwarves around the area kind of steps up to him. Flag can definitely tell this dwarf coming up is much younger than him. Definitely under his first century. He barely has a shadow of a beard coming up. As the young one steps up to Flag, and you see him kind of nervously fixing up his worker clothing, has a smear of kind of gold to the side of the face, his very auburn hair, plenty on the top of the head. He comes up to Flag and, sir, excuse me, sir, could I take a moment of your time?
What the fuck do you want?
Oh shit.
Well,
Can you not tell that I'm fucking busy here? I'm fucking having a pint all day.
You are sir, but my friends and I, he kind of points over his shoulder to these two nervous looking halflings hiding behind one of the small taller folk around here. My friends there and I were a little curious about your weapon there. And he points at whether it's a great sword or a great axe. Yeah. Points to the handle kind of poking over his shoulder. They are. We work on the mill nearby, and we couldn't help to catch the designs on that weapon. Could we bother you just to look it over? We're trying to learn the craft.
This axe is actually very precious to me, so I don't really fucking trust you. It's mine.
I understand, sir. Sorry about bothering you there. We'll be just around the bend here, just drinking. Have a good evening. Kind of very apologetic, kind of stands back. Definitely not the strong-willed dwarf style Flag has met in the past.
I kind of grab him and say, You're meant to be a fucking dwarf, not a coward. Get a bone. Get a backbone. Push him aside again. He's mean. Flack is mean.
And the dwarf kind of attempts to step a little straighter, but he continues to back, and Flack kind of out of the corner of his eye sees him talking with the two gnomes, two halflings. Keep getting them confused. Yep. As that's going on, as the younger dwarf kind of bumps into one of the halflings, the halfling kind of bumps into the back of a leg, and that the leg belongs to one row.
Whoops. I did that.
No. The dwarf that backed away from Flack.
Right, so it was his fault. Well, my fault, but his fault, but...
Yeah. In the infinite bond of reverberation.
Yeah. I'll be back in a minute, just go and grab a drink.
No problem. So, Rowan,
Yeah.
what you doing over there?
I'm kind of chilling at a table corner, shuffling a deck of cards, like absent-mindedly. Like kind of people watching, but you can tell that, like she's like looking, but she's not really seeing anything. She's kind of like in her little world.
But people looking at a Rowan, what do they see? What can we take from just a glance at Rowan?
So she's got, straight up leather armor, nothing special, but you can tell that it fits her well. She's got her rapier strapped to her side. She's a blacksmith's daughter. I don't know if you would know that by looking at her, but she knows what she's doing, and she's probably got a few like singe marks, on her armor from the work that she's done, and you can tell that she's not. She's pretty guarded. She's not really she's not here to have fun. She has a purpose. You just don't really know what it is.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry. What? Oh, I said you can tell that she's got a purpose for being here, but that it's not to have fun and not to make friends. She's got a reason for being here, but she's not really going to be too eager to share it.
Oh no, yeah, that's fair. I mean, Flack has just come down for just general reasons, just
reasons. Yeah. Yeah, you can tell she's not like uptight, but she's put together, if that makes sense.
And say Rowan is sitting there shuffling the cards, kind of scanning over the area. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Boop, boop, boop.
Perception. Nice.
Booyah. Thank you.
17, very nice.
Thank you.
And say Rowan is looking for anything curious. You do see a woman with similar features to her own, to Rowan's own, kind of talking with the barkeep at the moment, with the owner. You see a dwarf, a jump